because when I noticed it was too late and it came down.
Oh my gosh, that is insane.
Yeah. I was real young. I had both. I remember because they used to have to carry me. I had both casts, both my labels in cast. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Hey,
Wow.
good morning. How's everybody doing this morning?
Oh, feeling wonderful. How about yourself?
Well,
Great.
my desktop
Good morning. Good morning.
doesn't want to seem to log in. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm here on my phone, sitting here at my desk.
Got a case of the Mondays on a Tuesday.
I know.
Opportunity. So listen,
Good
good morning.
morning.
It is February 4th, 2020. It is a Tuesday. Good morning, Misfits. Great to have you all here. And just wanted to go ahead and let's get started with sending out your 3 messages. Send out those messages to those you love, those you care about. Good morning, Roz. And if you're new on the call, just drop an N in the chat. If you're new on the call, we would love to welcome you to the call. If you happen to be somebody that's first time here on the call, welcome, welcome, welcome. We appreciate you. This is a misfit call, meaning we're not quite sure how we fit in out there, but in here we seem to have a similar psychographic. We all kind of feel and think the same way, that the world can be better, and we have a big responsibility to work towards that. So let's see here. We'll mute that. I think that, hey, it looks like it's joining here on the desktop. So let me do this.
Oh, we lost audio.
Yeah, because I turned it off on my phone.
Oh.
Hold on. There we go. Woohoo! I don't know. That took like 8 minutes for it to log in on the web.
Sean in stereo.
In stereo. RC, love you, brother. Congratulations on your continued wedding plans, man. So, topic for today: what will you sell? What will you buy? What will you sell? What will you buy? That's an interesting conversation. We're going to do that. We're going to have that conversation today. Let me just check here, see if there's anybody new. No? Okay. Did you all send out your 3 messages? That would be good. I hope you do that. Send out your
I did mine so early. I'm sure people are annoyed with me.
Yes, I did mine at 4:55 this morning, Sean.
Awesome. Well, good, good, good. One day I'd encourage you to try. I'd encourage you to make the attempt. See how many you could send out. I
sent about 25 today.
Well, if 25 is a good number, see if you can send out 250.
Okay, I'm working on that. I'll do that.
You know, what I'm saying is that if 25 is good, and we've done that before, what if we just really amped it up? See, here's the thing. Whether you send out 3 or 5 or 50 or 500, that's what you bought. You bought that idea. I want to be very clear in this. This is a leadership conversation. This is a mentorship conversation. A mentor is somebody who designs a dialogue that'll help you do things you didn't know you could do. What if you were guaranteed a $100,000 check at the end of the year if you sent out a message to everybody in your Facebook, everybody on your Instagram? You just sent out a message. And what if it was a heartfelt message? I promise you, if you did that, you'd find new business partners, you'd find new leaders, you'd find people that you had no idea were looking for you. If you do something to that extreme. We all want the high end, we all want the wonderful conversations, we all want the high end dialogues and all of the things that create success. But again, I go back to, if you're having $100,000 a month dreams, but you're only having $50 thoughts, it might be interesting. So what will you buy today? What ideas are you going to buy today? What are you going to buy about the weather today in your marketplace? What are you going to buy about your teams today? What are you going to buy about your prospects today? What are you going to buy from them today? Because everything is a sales presentation. Right? What I'm talking to you right now is a sales presentation. I'm selling you on the idea of, I don't know what I'd buy today. What did you buy yesterday that didn't serve you? Ooh, think about it. There is a refund policy on ideas. Not on emotions, per se, but on ideas. You can always take it back. Well, Sean, that's kind of hard to take it back. I understand, so you have to drown it out. Just like in a courtroom, if you've ever watched a court, I've sat on a 4-day jury trial. I actually wrote a book called Your Dreams on Trial, While You'll Never Win, The Silent Jury Within. While I was sitting in a jury box, I wound up writing this book in 4 days. And I say that to say, the funniest thing that cracks me up, how many of you get cracked up when you watch TV and you see in the courtroom, they'll say, the jury will stricken that comment. The jury will disregard that comment. And you're like, what? Have you not met human beings before? How in the world are we, because you're only supposed to pay attention to the facts. Well, let's look at the facts. You're alive. You've got internet. You've got some kind of device you're getting that internet through, getting that internet on. You're paying for electricity somewhere. Means you're in some kind of a dwelling, whether it be yours or somebody else's. Means you're inside, you're out of the cold, which means you probably have running water as well, which means you probably have lights, which probably means you probably have some clothes, which probably means at some point you're going to eat today, whether it be 1 meal or 3 meals. So how really crappy is your day? How bad is it compared to others? If you want to compare, why do we always compare ourselves to somebody that's better than us? Why don't you compare yourself to people who have less than you? 30% of the population is looking for clean water today. That number may be way low. 40% of the population, half of the people on the planet don't have clean water. You have this amazing ability to buy and sell today. Some of you are traders on this call. What do you do in trading? You buy and you sell. Heather Love, hello, Heather Love. How are you, my dear? How many people are looking for a chance? How many people are looking for just somebody to give them a chance, somebody to believe in them just a little bit more, somebody to give them the opportunity to have an opportunity, something like yours. But you know what? They're scared as hell to step out there. Listen, if you're looking for some people who want true opportunity, you're looking for some people who need you in their life, chances are they're in your neighborhood. They ain't going to be on Instagram or Facebook. How many stories have you heard in this profession? How many stories have you heard in this industry where it's somebody who is on their last dime? It's somebody who absolutely not one person in the world would have ever thought they would turn out to be anything. And all of a sudden, they become the icons in our industry. And we say, wow, well, I wish I'd have sponsored them. There's 100 of them waiting for you right now. They are stuck in their story. They are stuck in their routine. They bought the idea that they're not good enough. They bought the idea that they don't have a chance. They bought the idea that nobody looks at them and sees an entrepreneur in them. They bought the idea that they're not good enough. That's the story they bought today. What would you sell them? If you were to sit down across the table from them, what would you tell them? What conversation would you have for them? See, here's something that I learned a long time ago. When I started prospecting, when I would start to have conversations with people, you know how many hundreds of conversations, I mean hundreds of conversations I would have before I ever sat down with anybody? How many of you role play with yourself? Because a lot of times the reason they don't buy is because of the way you say things. You sell an essence. Imagine if you were talking about roses and flower gardens, and you were talking about the beauty of bouquets of flowers, but you had perfume on that was cow manure, or better known as bull shiitake. What would they, even though they could hear your words, what would they smell the whole time they're sitting down with you? They'd be like, what is that smell? That's your essence. That's your essence that comes across. How many times have you seen people on stage? Listen carefully. How many times have you seen people on stage and their words did not match their body? Their words did not match their facial expressions. Their energy just wasn't right. If you've ever seen anybody on stage, you are seeing and watching and hearing their essence regardless of their words. What is the ultimate desire when you sit down across from anybody? Not about your business, from anybody. Is it to bring joy or is it to do harm? I'm sure it's to bring joy. I'm sure it's to bring joy. Then are you coming from a place of joy? Are you pouring your words out of your bucket of joy, or are you pouring it out of, I need them. I need them in my business. I got to sponsor somebody. I got to get somebody enrolled. What are your words saying? What is your essence saying? How many of you have had, listen, let me ask you this. How many of you have had the most amazing presentation? I mean, you were in the front of the room and everything just went absolutely, you knocked it out of the park. You were amazing. People absolutely loved it. They got inspired. They got started. Have you ever had one of those where it just seemed to go right? If you had one of those conversations with a prospect one-on-one or in front of a room at doing a presentation, type an R in the chat. If you've ever had one of those just freaking unbelievable, you were on fire, you knew it was you, you were all there. I want you to go back to that moment and remember that. What was it? And I bet you probably you didn't have a whole lot of time to plan. Things changed, things happened to you that caused you to have a little bit of an adjustment necessary in your presentation. What happened? Why did that go that way? Why did that do what it was doing? Well, the reason is because you weren't tied to the outcome. You were tied to the moment. What is your goal when you sit down with a prospect, when you sit down across from the table? What is the thing that you plan on selling? I was just looking at my notes here. Is it okay if I read something out of my journal? Your words work out your will. What's the purpose of your words? How far beyond your conversation do your words go? When a prospect leaves your table, when they leave your conversation, how long do the words go? See, there's some things I bet Bree is still working on. We did a conversation Friday night. Monica, Bree, Natalie, Daniela. I think that was all of us. Oh, Ashley was on there. Ashley was on there. Somebody, a friend of Bree's that jumped on, does real estate. I bet they're still talking about it. Why? Because we were talking about things that were important to them. How long do your words work after your conversation? What words in your own head stop the words of your own desire or your own dreams? You could end right there. What if you had to find that out today? What if that was the test today? What if you were going to buy the idea? You're going to find out what words in your head stop your own dreams. Do you know what words do it? Do you know what moments do it? Do you know when you get sold on giving up on your dreams? I'm talking about the little things. I'm talking about going back to drinking water. So, Julie, if you're open to it, if you'd like to jump on a help seat, I don't like hot seats. People can't stay there long. On a help seat, would you like to give us a little input on what happened yesterday?
Yes, I will. I'm not gonna show my face though because
That's
I
okay.
look crazy.
You know how beautiful your face is.
So, hi, good morning to you all. So basically, yesterday, on the call, I was asking Sean questions about presenting, and he told me that instead of being the closer, become the opener. Because usually, when I do events, I'm always the one that closes, like that ends the event. So yesterday, I was so nervous because I couldn't I watched the call like over 20 times, Sean, on YouTube. I rewatched it and I rewatched it, and I just couldn't grasp like what I was gonna say. So when I went to the event, I'm like, oh my God, please. I meditated beforehand. I showed appreciation so my mood could change. And then once I began presenting, it was like naturally. Like people were saying you did pretty good, and I'm like, I have no idea what I said. I was like, John, I had no idea what I said. I was so like in my head, like when I was presenting, I was telling myself, oh my God, what am I saying? But I just kept going. I wasn't thinking of the outcome. I was just saying what I had to say, and I said it from the heart. And I asked a question before I presented. I asked the question, is it okay if I make you feel uncomfortable? And everyone was like, yes, 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 of course. And then I'm like, is it okay if I get you out of that uncomfortable feeling? Sean, I applied what your teachings. And everybody was like, whoa, you were so real. Like, I got the chills. Thank you so much. And people that I brought in, like my the prospects, they all told me, like, listen, Julie, we got to stay in touch. Like, I definitely want to talk to you more about this. And I kept asking myself, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say to them. Should I tell them, let's get you started now? But instead, Sean, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna communicate with them and just ask them how they felt during the presentation. And then the next day, like today or tomorrow, I'm gonna give them a call and I'm gonna talk about what they saw and what they liked instead of aiming for the kill right away. Like, I don't want nobody to feel like I'm selling them something. And yeah, that was my experience. So guys, I'm telling you, like, if you apply everything that Sean teaches you, things happen. Things change. But yeah, that's about it, Sean.
Well, so one of the things that that when somebody says, I want to follow up with you, you have the right to always ask another question, right? Because if you ask them the three questions, permission to help, feel uncomfortable, take you out of the uncomfortable feeling, I'd say to you, Julie, you know what? That excites me. I'm so glad that we're going to follow up. Could I ask you a question? Why would you want to follow up? What would be the most important thing on our follow-up that would make that the next conversation one of the best conversations?
That's amazing. That's a good question. Thank you.
Because I've only got my years. The point is that, listen, Linda, listen. They know what they want next. You push them to a point to where the idea of making a decision to actually move forward on their dreams scares the living bejeebies out of them. It does, and it's not scaring them. They're the ones that's here. What's scaring them is offending all of the people who told them they're not good enough. Listen, words offend. Teachings offend. It offends the story they were carrying around with them before your teaching. The reason that you got nervous, your heart wasn't nervous. Your brain was going, if we do this, what's everybody going to say? Oh my God, if somebody sees us, one of our upline sees us, they're going to go, what were you doing on that thing? What did you talk about? What? That's not our clothes. We have our script. Why didn't you use our script? And if people are getting the chills, how many times have you done a presentation that people got the chills when you spoke? Well, we're not supposed to get the chills. We're supposed to get to the bottom line. This isn't woo-woo stuff. Okay. When anybody ever asks you a question, once they're engaged in a dialogue with you, once they've engaged into an interaction with you, see, you listen, I love you. You bought the idea of the follow-up. And they will follow up with you. They will have a conversation because at point A, where you left them in a pleasant state. At point B, when you follow up, which I'd encourage you sooner rather than later, that emotional state will allow you and them to have a conversation at point B. How long you make that will lower those chances at point B turning out the way you want. Right? For every day that passes from the presentation, they lose 25% of that desire, that energy, and the old world starts to slip back in. The old patterns start to slip back in. So when you do have a conversation with them, say, you know, I'm just still so excited about what you shared with me at the end of our presentation, at the end of our conversation the other day. And you said you did want to follow up. What can we talk about that'll make the next 10 minutes the best 10 minutes for you? What's the thing that you learned the most? What's the thing that you've been muddling over in your brain that get you excited about this conversation? What can we do? What can we talk about in the next 10 minutes that'll make this the best 10 minutes of your day? They know the next step. Everybody knows their next step. The only difference between you and the TV is the TV is going to keep them programmed. That's why they call it TV programming. You're breaking them out. You are challenging every fiber of their being when you have conversations about being an entrepreneur, even if they've been an entrepreneur in the past. They don't know you. They didn't see you as this business entrepreneur, and then all of a sudden, this beautiful soul who is fun-loving, caring, strategic, calculating, because she's got to protect herself and protect those around her. There's this pattern that exists around her. Then all of a sudden, she gets up there and she gives people chills. Are you really supposed to have chills at the closing of a BizOp meeting? I think so. I think so, but I'm odd. So congratulations on that. And that was your first one. Imagine what the second one will feel like, and then the third one will feel like, and then the fourth one will feel like. Congratulations. And listen, you always have a choice. You could choose to never do that again. Absolutely, tried it once, loved it, nothing to do with it. I'd never do it again. That's okay too. But look at what worked and look at how you can use it to take it to the next level. Awesome sauce. So that being said, let's go jump into questions. Let's jump into Q&A. If you've got a question, raise your hand on your screen, or however you do that. Right click, left click, something. Is it Anya? Good morning, Anya.
Good morning. It's Anaya.
Anaya. Thank you, Anaya. Thank you for helping me.
I'm getting ready for work, so I apologize. But I was just wondering, you know, the thing that I struggled with starting, and then what I've seen with a lot of other people making that decision, and you've talked about this, is that people are afraid of what other people are going to say and what other people think. Yep. Why is that? I don't understand. Like, why is that we have that fear of what other people think and their acceptance of our lives?
Well, I'll take a 4-day training that I do on that, which I'm actually going to be offering here probably mid-month. But here's what it is, Anaya, is when you were little, listen, this gets wired into you. When you were little, you figured out that if your parents laughed more, your days went better. Would that be a fair statement? You made them laugh more. You made them smile more. You brought your mom a weed, and she thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. Then you go to school, and in the beginning, we only got stars, right? You got stars or I don't even know what they were. Excellent or satisfactory or unsatisfactory. An E, an S, and a U. And you wanted to get excellence because your mom was so happy when you came home with good grades. Your dad was so happy. And then you went to grade school and you needed to get the teachers to like you. Some kids the teachers liked, the teachers liked some kids and they didn't like others. I needed to be in the one where they liked because I wasn't that good in school. So we do this, we go through grade school, we go through high school, We get into cliques. We get into little packs of communities. The cool girls, the non-cool girls, the cool boys, the non-cool boys, the farm boy. Yeah, I was in a group all by myself. I was the president of my own fan club. And you go through all of this in your life, and then you get it, and then you graduate, and then you're instantly supposed to go. You spent 12 years that if you looked on anybody else's paper, you were cheating. If you looked on anybody else's paper, you were cheating. And the second you graduate higher education, you're supposed to go into cooperation. You go from cheating is bad to today you got to cooperate as soon as you join a business. And we wind up needing to please everybody else. We need to please our boss. We need to please our spouse. We need to please our boyfriend, our girlfriend. So we wind up with this addiction to approval. And that is wired into us from the very beginning. So what happens is the second that you step out into the entrepreneurial spirit, which is why 98% of businesses fail, is because they get worried about the opinion of others. Some of them are just knuckleheads in doing business. They should never have the right to own a business, but they were addicted to the approval of somebody said, you should own a business. So that's where all of this comes from. So when they're saying no, they're not saying no to you. They're really not saying no to them. They're saying no to the old story that runs in their head, Anaya, that says, you can't do this. Right? You have curly hair. You have this most beautiful curly hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever wanted that hair to be flat?
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Because you were addicted to the fact that your hair, and everybody says to you, oh my God, your hair is so beautiful. You're like, if you only knew.
Yes.
And you go, well, thank you. And your thank you is a side slap, half back, blah, blah, blah. So, oh, thank you. If you only knew what a pain in the neck it is. I wish I had flat hair like yours. I wish I had flat hair like yours. And you're like, oh my God, I'd do anything for your hair. See, I think we're addicted to the things that we don't really. Monique, go ahead, my love. What were you going to share? You wanted to share something?
Was that to me? I didn't hear you at first.
Yes, I think you said, can I share something?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I wanted to say something to that because last night I had a kind of an aha moment. In regards to what you were saying that we're addicted to approval, I think really too, it is also an addiction to the feeling that that approval gives us, which is obviously a good feeling about ourselves. And last night, my kids were in bed by like 8:30. I was in bed. Sorry, my dogs are playing. I was in bed by 9. And it's pretty normal for me to be in bed by 9. And it was funny because I thought, man, my kids, they have been on that same sleep schedule of going to bed between 8:30 and 9 or 9:30 since they were little. And it's because I put them on that schedule. And it occurred to me how the consistency of their life has really stuck with them their whole entire life and what feeling that brings to them. And I started to think about the things that I do consistently to make myself feel good, which is this call, obviously, getting up early, doing my gratitude, going to the gym. Those are 3 things that I do every day regardless. So if nothing else goes wrong, I start off my day with the things that make me happy and make me feel good about myself. So I say that because I think it's so important to really provide that feeling of acceptance that you're looking for from other people for yourself so that you don't have to rely on that. So even when it does go bad, or even when somebody tells you you're not good enough, it doesn't matter because you started off your day with those things that made you feel good and made you feel like, you know what, I do these things for myself to make myself feel good. And that's all that matters. So whatever else happens in the day is really out of your control. And I really picked 3 things that are 100% in my control and not anything that if somebody, feels sick or doesn't feel good or maybe isn't in a bad mood, I just lost my good feeling. It's the whole reason why I don't go to the gym with people. Okay. Because people, not that finding a partner to work out with is a bad thing, but in the beginning, if you are relying on that person to get you to the gym, and let's say they don't feel like going, and so you obviously aren't going to go because they're not going to go, you have now lost control of the one thing that is good for you because you're relying on somebody else to provide it for you. So I know that was like a long way around, but I kind of feel like it applied and I wanted to say it. So I hope that helps.
Well, it does. And Monique, I appreciate that. Here's the funny thing. Here it is, 2020. In the BCs, the before Christ times, the Stoics all talked about, they were asking the same questions. They didn't have a Zoom platform. Stoicism means porch. They would have these conversations on a porch in the town square. And they asked the same questions. Epictetus said, understand what's within your desire, what's within your control, and what's outside of your control. Put your desire on what you can control and forget the rest. So Anaya, this question that you asked is extraordinarily powerful. I would encourage you today, somebody that's inquisitive, somebody that has a unique mind, and I can tell that just from looking at your smile. Watch the smile that shows now. There's this unique smile that absolutely floods people with joy, and they wind up telling you things that maybe you didn't even want to know about people. So be curious in listening to conversations today and look at the words they say as to what addiction are they satisfying. Right? If we were to see an addict, listen, everybody, if we were to see an addict and they started drinking alcohol at 6 a.m. and they didn't stop all day long, we would probably be safe in saying they're an alcoholic. If somebody by midday was doing a little blow in the bathroom, or do you guys even call it that anymore? I have no idea. Doing a little blow in the bathroom, you go, well, they're addicted to drugs. They're heroin, cocaine. We would say they're a drug addict. Shauna Hall, Manny, I love you. If they were doing, right, if pornography is their gig, if they get their kicks on that, right? So we would be able to see the outward expression of their inward addiction. You know what the challenge is with words, with addiction to approval? When you see the code, when you see the matrix, if you will, on the other side of somebody's conversation, you can tell instantly from the words they use. Are they addicted to their parents? Were they beaten as children? Do they have these things that cause them to level up only to a certain level? Their language will reveal all of that to you. So you'll start to hear, when you start to pay attention, right? It's learning a new language. Learning addiction to approval is like learning 3 million new languages all at once. Why? Because everybody has their own way. There's people who grew up as codependent children. Their parents were alcoholics. But they all act differently because of the interaction of the family. So that's a whole different language. A family of 3 that were codependents is different than a family of 1. So I say all of that to say, this is why this industry, this profession is so absolutely heart-wrenching, and why we face so much rejection is because we're putting front and center everybody's addiction to approval to have a business that everybody told them they're not qualified for. What if you, I'm talking to you, the listener right now, what if you were the one that would take that has the patience and take the time and have the courage to ask them some tough questions that they really want to answer. But the only way they'll answer them, Brene Brown said this, the only way anybody will ever give your story is if they give you permission to hear their story. Why do you think the first question I ask somebody is, hey, do I have your permission to help? And if they say no, the conversation's over. We'll talk about anything else, but the dialogue that we're about to engage in doesn't happen. Now, sometimes people, because they become uncomfortable when you ask that question, do I have your permission to help? They go, well, sure, yeah, absolutely, I keep hearing Walter from Jeff Dunham, yeah, sure, yeah, whatever. Yeah, go ahead. That's what I hear when somebody says, yes, I have your permission to help. They don't realize the question they just answered. Listen, do I have your permission? Just a little bit. Words don't teach. What if I could help you have a better day? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Addiction to approval. They wanted to make me feel good by letting me help them. Oh, little do they know. Here's the second question, tough question. Second question is a little tougher. Do I have your permission to make you feel a little uncomfortable? Just a little bit. And if it gets too strong, if we need to come up with a safe word, if there's something in your life that's highly sensitive, let's just come up with a safe word right now. Let's say bubblegum is the safe word. If I start touching on something that you don't even want to go down, if I'm touching that high tension wire and you're like getting shocked, just say bubblegum. And then to have your permission to take you out of that uncomfortable feeling, however long it takes. If we happen to venture down into that path, into that valley, into that tunnel, into that cave, is it okay if we walk back out of it together? Yep. Cool. What's the story you're afraid people are going to find out about you? You guys are all amazing. You all have amazingly wonderful hearts. But if you let somebody see that, now some of you are going, well, I can't let them see my heart. Last time I showed somebody my heart, it got stomped on. It didn't get stomped on. That's a story you told yourself. You had expectations of that person. You had expectations of that individual. And they broke your expectations. They didn't break your heart. They broke your expectations. I know this is going to sound tough. This is going to sound mean. But there's life and death in this world. And when people die, we get sad. They broke our expectation. We expected them to be around longer. We expected them to be here longer. Listen, that ain't up to us. So when you send your messages out in the morning, I'd be sending it out to everybody who's important to you. Oh, I ain't got enough time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, you're right. I'm rich. Let's move on. What are you waiting on? This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the play. You are in the show. You are the main character in the show. You are on stage right now. What are you waiting for? The audience is there. They need you. The question is do you need them? And if the answer is yes, then play to your audience. What if they came and they saw you play out a script of their life? That's what happens when we become vulnerable. Everybody goes, oh my God, I can't believe you, that's me. You just told my life story. Although I'm a guy and you're a girl and I was this and you were that, it's exactly the same except for being nothing like each other. What happens is it gives them the chance to be emotionally connected to you. Are you sponsoring people for their wallet or for their heart? Ooh, snap. Are you sponsoring people for their connections? Build through them, work through them. Every dud knows a stud. You're right. Every dud does know a stud. I'm a dud. I got 77 studs on the phone right now. Y'all are amazing. Brianna, go ahead with your question. Brianna Shavers on line 17. We've got Brianna from...
Good morning, homies. How's everybody doing? Sean, I first off want to thank you so much for the call yesterday and today, and as well, I mentioned it on Instagram, but just putting that video out on Instagram, it really had me thinking about how I personally could make prospects uncomfortable, but uncomfortable in a good way. And I had this idea because I thought about my personal experience in this journey thus far. And as I go through my own personal journey, I realize that as I unravel things about myself, I start to understand more about other people and other people's story. And so I actually have been reading the book Think and Grow Rich for a while now. And this past week, I've really been analyzing and dissecting the last chapter on the 6 ghosts of fear. And I really want to, and this is an idea, and I kind of want your help to see if this is an all, go for it, do it. But I want to kind of bring awareness to the 6 ghosts of fear within the presentation, because I think that another thing that a lot of people in our society are suffering from is just the fact that nobody's aware of certain things. They're not aware of their previous story because we've been raised and we've been, we've grown up in this story and we've been taught to believe it. And so with that awareness of putting the 6 ghosts of fear and kind of giving an explanation on what those are before the presentation even starts, I thought that that would be a good idea, because usually at least within my my subgroup within I Am Mastery Academy, we do focus on mindset first and foremost before we even go into products and services or the comp plan, because with anything in life we realize that mindset is everything, and if you don't have the right mindset, you won't give your full potential to necessarily anything in life. You have to make that decision and believe in it full wholeheartedly to go full force on it. And so I thought about that idea to put the 6 ghosts of fear and ask those 3 questions before the presentation starts, just so that everybody is aware and gives permission to be in that uncomfortable place in the beginning, and go through those 6 ghosts of fear, and then take them out of that uncomfortable place by showing them a way out, or a way that they can gain freedom for if it fits their story. Does that make sense?
It does. What I might encourage you in a direction, I think it's powerful to talk about that.
Uh-huh.
The challenge is they're not, the way they've been invited to the event is not an event on the 6 ghosts of fear. Listen carefully. I'm going to walk you through this. What you might start off with saying is one of the richest men in the world asked somebody to write down the secrets of success. And if in the course of our conversation today, we're going to reveal some of those secrets that was revealed by over 500 of the richest people in the world. But I'm also going to reveal with you the 6 reasons why most people don't get started. Would that be okay? You'll say, okay. And what you might do is during the course of the conversation is say, one of the things in this book they talked about, there's six real big issues that people come across with that cause them to stall or get stuck. They called them the 6 ghosts of fear. How many of us would agree that sometimes fear seems like a ghost that just shows up out of nowhere? So over the course of our conversation tonight, during the presentation, I'll reveal when one of these ghosts may pop up. And I would encourage you to use the ghosts throughout the presentation, because if you're going to go down, you know why they made that the last chapter, right? Because it's the one that's probably one of the more powerful chapters.
Right.
And if you start off the event with that, they're never going to get past that.
Okay.
That's powerful. So what you might do is when you get to the comp plan, the fear of money, the fear of success, the fear of one of the ghosts that do that, the fear of communicating, the fear of building a team. What are these fears? And you can outline, again, totally unique, totally off topic, totally not the way you were taught to do it. I'd be fair in saying that, wouldn't I?
Yes. Very much so.
Careful how you weave that in, because the first thing everybody that's your rank and below is going to go, oh my God, that's amazing. Everybody your rank and above is going, that's not what we do.
Right.
So figure out how to continue with the presentation, but weave in wherever those ghosts show up, because those ghosts you're going to hit all of them when you're doing your presentation.
Definitely.
So maybe at that point you go, and what we're about to talk about here, what we just talked about, a lot of times what we found is that prospects, normally this is one of the biggest concerns that they have. Napoleon Hill would have called it the fear of. That makes sense to see how you can weave that in?
Right.
But the other thing is
Thank you for that. That's brilliant. That's awesome.
If the ghost shows up, you've got to show them how they can get over the ghost.
Yes. Okay.
That's what your team does. That's what your community does. See, folks, that's why I can train in 108 businesses. Because I ain't teaching you on your product. It's the words. It's the message. It's the story. Now,
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Sean. I appreciate that.
What you may do is listen at the end of the event. We went over the 3 ghosts that typically happen when somebody goes off to build an entrepreneurial business. But if you hang around after the presentation, I'm going to do another little 15-minute training for those of you that decide to get started on how to deal with the other 3 ghosts.
Okay. Definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this recording back today. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Much love from Joplin.
Love you too, Brianna. So, so ask yourself this question. Yes, what I did was amazing. Totally get it. And I'm blowing my own horn, but it's totally amazing. But do you see what we did? It's the same information, making it sellable versus having to listen to it. I need you to hear that. People do things for their own reason. People love to buy, they hate to be sold. So I create something that's buyable, that's sellable in their mind, because you know that that during the course of your presentation, there's going to be fears that get triggered. And if you want to weave something in, weave it in at the moment that the fear shows up. Because now you got to have a 45-minute presentation to talk about the 6 fears and how you overcome them. And then you're going to go into your biz op. This is where it might help during the course of the presentation that you talk about your part of the story. You know, one of the things that one of the concerns that I saw when the comp plan came up is that, am I good enough? When the comp plan came up and they were showing people making so much money, I go, oh my God, this would be amazing. It's good to know. Here's the thing to know is that other people have done it, which means what? It's possible. The comp plan is the same for you and it is the same for me. Why does somebody make $1,000 a month and somebody make $10,000 a month? It comes down to activity and mindset. That's what our academy does. Listen, I'm not part, some people are asking me, they're sending me private messages going, man, what rank are you in IML? I'm like, I'm not even in your company. Oh my God, you speak like you founded the company. Mm-mm. I'm in the business of building people. I'm not in your company. There's only a couple of people on this call that are in my company. And y'all don't know which one that is. Why? Because you don't need to. This is about building people. About building a story. So as you start to have dialogue, you may have some brilliant ideas that you can weave into your presentation, into your conversation. But remember, are you selling or are they buying? The way you present it, do they have to buy it or are you selling it to them? What if you gave everybody a chance to buy their freedom? How long would the line be around the block if they knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that you had something to sell that would allow them to buy their freedom? Wouldn't the line be a little bit longer? Wouldn't you have to overcome fear and doubt, addiction to approval? You know, a lot of times, how many of you have ever been invited to a presentation before? Listen, I'll just do it here. If we were in a presentation right now, how many of you have ever been invited to a conference call before? How many of you have ever been on a Zoom before? Type a Z in the chat if you've ever been on a Zoom before. Outstanding. Look at all the people typing Z's. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been on a Zoom that didn't work well for you? Have you ever been on a Zoom that didn't work well? So type DZ in the chat if it didn't work well for you. Yeah, so the DZ means you're dizzy. Right? It's just like, what the hell am I doing here? You just wasted my time. And even if it was free, you wasted your time and you got mad. So can I ask you this question? My goal is to make sure that this conversation we're about to have brings you value. Here's what I need you to do. I'm going to speak a particular topic, but I need you to be looking for your answers. I don't need you to totally understand what I'm saying. I need you to look for that one moment where you go, aha, that's what I came here for. Could I ask you to just forget about the cat and the dog and the clothes at the cleaners? Could I ask you to just be here present for a moment? Could I ask you to absolutely put yourself first? Don't worry about your neighbor. Look at your neighbor. Look left and look right and say, they say 1 out of 3 of us are pretty. And the 2 people you're looking at, they're probably looking at you and going, you're the pretty one. Can I ask you to just pay attention to what's important to you right now? And in our dialogue and in our conversation, if you hear something that's absolutely wildly important to you, I want you to raise your hand. I seriously want you to raise your hand because I want to stop and have a conversation with you, the one that said, that's what I'm here for. Because there's going to be some people that just show up here and they thought because they showed up, they should win. No, you got to decide to win. How many of you have decided to win today? And now all of a sudden we have a community of like-minded individuals. See, when you understand the power of the setup of the presentation, it's a lot easier to get them to walk down the path that they came to walk down. But when you keep throwing boulders and rocks and nomenclature and everything at them that they've never heard before, you're making them feel like an idiot, especially in some highly technical situations. I mean, seriously, how many levels of a comp plan does somebody really need to know if they're new? Does somebody need to know how to make $10,000 a month if they're brand new? Only if they're already making 10 grand a month. Yeah, look at Leo. Leo knows exactly what the setup is because he has to do that in dancing. Sometimes you got to get the right shoes. You can't dance. You can't dance flamenco because you don't have the right shoes.
That's right.
Right? And so you
Right.
send them home. How many people didn't come with the right shoes in their mind? They didn't come with the running shoes. They came with the sit on the couch and have another can of Pringles shoes sitting at your event.
You know what's so amazing, Sean? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Misfits. I love that you brought this conversation. I was just having this conversation with my dance partner on Saturday because we have level 1 to level 3. The level 3s, they jam out with me because that's more of the advanced classes. The level 1s, they learn with my partner. And I was saying you can see who takes learning seriously, whether they want to take this as a hobby or they actually want to really take this to the point of being a better dancer, even a better person, by the shoes that they wear to class. And you can see the difference. It's like going to a martial arts studio and you know the color of their belt and the commitment that they have to the craft and to honing their skills. And this conversation is so like, it's bringing so much, I'm resonating with it because it's so relevant to the business. I love you, Sean. I'm a Seanaholic. I heard somebody say that earlier, so I love that.
I love you, brother. And, you know,
you too.
it's the same thing that happens in all areas of our life. So I grew up in the industrial world. You can tell a good welder from a bad welder. You can tell a welder that doesn't have all of the leathers, but boy, he can run a bead. You can tell somebody who can dance like freaking amazing. You can tell somebody who, basketball. I coached basketball right out of high school. I coached the boys freshmen, and then I coached the girls JV right out of high school. Graduated, next year I'm coaching basketball. Boys basketball is tough. Boys basketball is tough. Why? Because they got all the bad habits, right? When they go from being from 8th grade, when they're launching it from their hip to freshmen, all of a sudden they're going to have Wilson or Spalding plastered across their forehead from getting slapped and the ball smacked in their head all the time. So you got to change everything. Girls JV, which means freshmen, 10th graders and the 11th graders. Oh my God, I loved it. Oh my God, they were just like, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, coaching girls JV basketball. Why? Because they were willing to learn. That was the true epitome of go where your time is deserved, not where it's needed. The boys needed me. Oh my God, they needed me. But they weren't willing to change. They tried, but boy, when the heat got hot, they said no. Hey, Nikki, good morning in Vegas. Nikki's on the line. Look at the pink robe under pink robe. Shammy, good morning, Shammy. How are you? I hope I get to hear your beautiful girl giggle.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Shammy.
I want to first say thank you, Sean, because like you said earlier, and you mentioned a lot. You're building people, and these morning calls
Coñazo.
are exactly that for me. That's more of what it is. More than business, more building everything else I need. And I want to specifically say thank you so much to Rhonda and Monique. I feel like every time they speak, I mean, your message is amazing, but every time they
No. Listen, Chammy. Before you try to make me feel good, I'm good in my skin. I want these women to speak. I need you to speak, Chammy. I need you to speak. I'm a guy. I'm half a woman, and I need each of you to share your thoughts, because I could give you my script, and it'll sound totally different from you. So thank you. Don't ever worry about, I love when the ladies speak. I love when the ladies speak. I love
feel like every time they speak, it like I identify with it. It touches my heart. It usually makes me cry. Rhonda yesterday. Rhonda yesterday really made me with her message. I thought it was beautiful. And I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you yesterday, but at this time my kids are up and playing, so I don't get on as much. But I did want to say thank you yesterday to Rhonda, because her message yesterday was really, really just was so heartfelt to me, and to Monique and to you. I'm so grateful for these morning calls.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Thank you, Shammy. Shammy, can I ask you a question? And don't worry about muting those babies. We love to hear those babies. What stood out to you the most in that conversation? Help me to understand what I said, because sometimes when I talk, it comes so much from the heart that I don't even know what I'm saying until it comes out of my mouth, and I have to re-listen to it. So what hit you the most? What did you get the most that went to your heart and to your brain?
To be honest, I really want to re-listen to it so that I'll probably re-listen to yesterday's call a couple of times. I saved it on my YouTube. I don't know how to open this. He wants me to open something that I can't open. But this whole past week, it being about our story, there you go. I got it. This whole week, it being about our story, it's something that to me, I want to like really remember what you said yesterday. It was more, I remember that it was like more being true to ourselves. And the quote you said from that book, I have to re-listen to yesterday's call because I really want to write it down. But the quote you said was, I can't remember right now, but I am gonna listen to it, replay it, and write everything down, because it's just, this whole week really has just been like, I feel a lot of times I feel like raising my hand and speaking, but then I have so much going on, and then I get kind of emotional and nervous, so sometimes I raise it and lower it. Here's the pancake.
You know, Shammy, I just want to encourage you that when you have those moments, if you don't want to raise your hand, I mean, I know you do want to, but you end up backing out, write it down on a piece of paper. You can always shoot it to me and message me, either Instagram, Facebook,
actually,
whatever.
You mentioned the other day that if anybody wanted to like personally talk to you about their story, to reach out, and I was actually like wanting to do that on Instagram or on the call, just let you know that I would actually like to talk to you personally, because I mean, I know that we should share, but I just don't feel comfortable sharing so much at the moment, or at least like I don't know what to share and what not to share, or like I just don't want to be like I would like to like work through it on my own, or with someone more like one-on-one.
Sure. Do you have a
how I should reach out to her, because I feel like I need that.
Do you have a pen and paper handy?
Yeah.
And we have all had households like yours, so don't worry about it.
Yes.
We have. And anyone can take this. It's fine with me. But here's my cell phone number. It's 903 714 0828. So again, it's 903 714 0828.
And I just want to mention real quick to like what Sean is speaking about. A lot these past couple of days are words. In my household, when I was raising up, words weren't that pretty, and I think like that's something that I struggle with, like speaking out maybe because I don't know. So thank you for your number, Rhonda. Can I call you like later on today?
Yeah,
or
sure.
Text you first to see what time is best.
Yeah, do me a favor, send me a text message with your name. So whenever I see your number, I can already have it programmed in and I'll know who's getting a hold of me. But I just, my Instagram is my name. Somebody's asking Diamond-100. That's a fun name. My Instagram is my name, but I don't spell my name with a H. It's Rhonda, R-O-N-D-A, Bird, Parker, and the number 1. So that's yeah, there you go. There you go. It's in the chat. And y'all can reach out to me. Anybody can use the number that I just gave Shammy. And Shammy, sometimes it takes a bit. There was a lot of times where I started on this call and I had moments that I wanted to speak and I had to just talk to Sean one-on-one because some things are just too hard to release and the vulnerability is just too opening. And I know I'm sorry I keep talking to women a lot of times, but I am one. There's times in women that we just can't stand to be open any longer. And open is a different feeling to us than it is the male gender. And so I get that, and it's okay, and that's totally fine. And I will help you however I can. And I just appreciate you reaching out today and saying that. Thank you so much. That you saying that to me helps me, Shammy, because you help me to continue speaking out. So thank you.
Yeah. I like with so much speaking about our story, I want to share, and sometimes at one point I felt kind of bad for not sharing and like just trying to. Then on my own, when I'm journaling, trying to like work through it, I actually started trying to like write it out, but I couldn't even do that. And then when I heard you reach, I just thought, then after I thought, I'm not gonna feel bad because I'll just be ready when I'm ready. But then when I heard you say that we can contact you if we needed to, and then every time you speak, and also Monique, I love when she speaks. So every time you speak, it feels like it's really. It's it's heartfelt and also that I like that you like speak with the word, because that's something I've been actually like trying to read the Bible and I feel like I need someone to speak to like you, and I would appreciate it. I'm so thankful for you guys, really.
Well, I love you, Shammy. Let's connect, girl. Let's definitely connect.
Yes. Thank you.
So here's what just happened. Community. This is what everybody that you're about to enroll in your business is looking for. They may call it 1,001 things. They may call it income. They may call it a business model. They may call it anything. But there's 1,001 people that are within walking distance of you right now, within walking distance of me, that are looking for somebody just like you. They're not going to be as vulnerable. Do you know how strong Shammy is to even say that? Ladies, you know exactly the feeling. Every one of you could put yourself in her shoes at some point in your life. And guys, how many of you were sitting there wanting to fix something? That might be an issue with your presentation. If our business is 80, 90% women, there's a good chance you're going to have a lot of of the female heart and mindset in your business, it might pay for you to have a conversation and listen to that dialogue that happened in your head. Aliana, is it Aliana? You wanted to share something?
Yeah, I did. It's Alana.
Alana, I don't know. Listen, I lived 7 years in the Latin world, so every letter gets pronounced. So
No, you're fine. You're fine. I've gotten Aliana before.
I love your hair. Look at that hair. Watch this smile. Look at that smile that goes with that hair. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. It actually wanted to act right today, guys. Shami, I actually wanted to add to that because I myself, before, I had a problem with sharing my story, and like, you know, part of that I felt was because I was afraid to like really admit like where are my weaknesses and then where are my strengths. And so once I was finally able to, you know, accept my weaknesses and then accept my strengths and play off of my strengths, I've been able to actually talk to people more and like be more open. But thank you, Latoya. But it's kind of, you don't want to rush anything because you really, you have to be comfortable with yourself first and know what are your weaks, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what is your actual truth. Because once you know your actual truth, then you're able to really resonate with people. So the way that you're able to resonate with what Miss Rhonda is saying or what Miss Monique is saying, like that you see something in them and they have, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but they have relatively found themselves and found their truths and play off of their strengths and downsize those weaknesses, or not downsize those weaknesses, strengthen those weaknesses. And so once you're able to do that for yourself, then you'll feel a whole lot more confident and comfortable in sharing whatever story it is that you have the desire to be able to share. But don't rush it, because when you rush into it, then you're really not giving yourself enough credit, and you're not using your fullest potential, and you're not giving people enough of you. Thank you. I just got them done, Latoya. You know, I had to get right.
Alana, I love your strength.
Thank you.
I love, of course, your smile and your hair. Sean already said that. I love your strength. I do. And you are young to have that kind of strength, and that is admirable. And I don't know what you've had to do to go through to get that strength, but girl, I can tell there's more to that story.
You know what? Really, this has just begun for me. Actually, I'm a part of IML. I'm a part of Trade House, though. And I've actually one of the new coming chairman leaders on our platform, he actually dropped Nino's mornings with Nino into our chat one day, and I was just like, well, you know, I'm up because I go to work at 8 a.m. and when I started though, I had a 9 a.m. class, so the morning motivations that we had within our own team, I couldn't catch those all the time because I was in class. And so, and my AirPods are always dead, so I couldn't listen while I was in class. And you just don't get the value when you're listening to two separate things. So I started getting on the mornings with Nino calling after my first call, and I'm pretty sure Nino is on the call because this is his morning. This is his time to pour into himself too. Once I got on Nino's call the first time, I literally have not missed a call since. And for the entire, I've probably missed, let me be honest, I probably missed like 3 maybe calls. But other than that, like the entire month of January, I didn't miss a single call. I was on there every single morning. And this entire month of February, I'm gonna not miss a single call. The entire month of March, I'm not gonna miss a single call. And since I've actually started really going into like the personal development for myself and trying to find myself, I have really grown. Nino actually mentioned that yesterday on the call, because, you know, this business alone has allowed me to be able to talk to people more, but I've always kind of had that natural ability to talk to people. I've just been able to really develop that and become even better at it now. And I actually genuinely love talking to people, and I genuinely love helping people. In my Instagram, my bio literally says impact is my goal, because that is my goal, especially with my major. I'm a full-time college student, so I have to work on myself. And it's been I love the process, and I love the person that I'm becoming, and I love the people that I've been coming across. So it's really new.
You are extraordinary. You really, really are. And your strength, I'm drawn to strength like that. If I can speak into you, do I have your permission?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to tell you something. I don't know how young you are, but you're younger than me. I'm probably old enough to be your mom.
I'll be 21 in March.
Yes, I am old enough to be your mom. So let me tell you one thing, and I'm going to contrast it with Shammy. Someone that is like you, that is so powerful, and you're able to go inside and grab that strength and quote unquote harness it and use that to go connect to people. Sometimes that can be super intimidating to women that are so stuck inside themselves, and to men that are so stuck inside themselves, that they see someone like you or me when I'm speaking from that strength, and they go, I can't do it.
Right.
And they shut down.
Yeah.
And what's unfortunate about that is the strength that you have, Alana, another woman could borrow that, and she could come out of herself and out of her head with your strength. So I wanted to tell you something about the power of your words. Hearing your strength, and you say, rise up inside yourself and get yourself right. I had your strength, but I was locked in my head. And it wasn't until I let the guard down from saying, I got to get it together and then use it. And I let Sean in, and I let a couple other people, my personal friends, come into my life, that I was able to then get out of my head and then use my strength. So I want you to think today, if I can speak into that boldly, I want you to think about how you can project your strength without having to say to people, just get yourself together. I want you to offer your strength to other people and go, if there's a way that my strength can help you get out of your head or out of your thoughts enough, let me know how I can loan my strength to you. Because, sister, you got enough strength for everybody. You are strong. And that is a fabulous characteristic and strength to have. But sometimes women, just take, for instance, like Shammy. If Shammy were to call me and I would just tell her, girl, get yourself together, she would crumble.
Right.
Because she's over there going, that's the whole reason I'm calling. I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know how. Yeah. So as a woman to a woman, speak into that woman with everything you have and you give it to her. Because, sister, you have enough. If you share half of it, you still got more than most people ever dreamed about having.
Yeah.
And you share it to them, but the words you use will unlock their heart, or it will shut the door a little more. And you are so powerful, and you have the potential to change so many hearts, and they will hear you, and they'll follow you because you won't stop moving forward. Because and I know you ain't stopping.
Oh, no, not at all.
Exactly. Exactly. So rephrase those words, and Sean can help me a little bit better. Rephrase those words to, let me help you, instead of, girl, get yourself right.
Okay.
How can we do it together? How can we help each other together? Because let me tell you something. When women unite, we can move any kind of mountain.
We can move mountains. We can move mountains. Yeah.
I mean, it's like what Real Talk Kim said. We can push out a baby and then 2 days later be walking around like ain't nothing happened.
Exactly.
So you get all of us together doing that, and you better watch out. So use your strength. Just meditate on what kind of words you can use to pull people out instead of telling them stay inside and then come back out. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And you're amazing.
Thank you.
You are. Yeah.
So
Love you, girl.
one of the words that the sentences that kept running through my head as you ladies were having a conversation was, and you've said this 1,000 times before, Lana, girl, I got you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that would be the one. Jim Rohn used to say it this way. Jim Rohn used to make it a team effort, but if I'd say, let's go do this. He never said you go do this. He said, let's go do this. Let's you and me together go do this. So in that phrase, if they get to hang around you, their energy will change. Their glory will change. So give them a chance to feel comfortable being around your power.
Okay. For sure. And that I got you, it's like you know me, because I tell everybody that asks me a question, oh yeah, I got you. I just let me know what I can do. And I do need to play off of that. I guess that's a weakness I need to build up myself. It's like, actually allowing people to gain my power as well and share my energy as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rhonda, for sharing. Thank you, Alana. Donald Stanford. Let's go to Donald. Look at that hair. You guys got like all of these GQ folks. And that smile. The hell am I? I'm like this farm boy, this white bread farm boy over here. Go ahead, Donald. Good morning. You're muted, brother. You're muted. Love you, man.
Buenos dias from Tejas. I'm in IML. I'm in IML also, but I'm an ATM.
Yeah.
Like you said, like how they were saying the fellowship between women and men, like one girl said earlier, she said she'll feel more comfortable with the one-on-one. But men, we gotta tell our story because we feel like it'll help other people out,
I agree. The key is being able to tell your story and allow it to there's a big challenge, Donald, when we tell our story. Does it drive us into shame or does it drive us into guilt? And if it drives us into shame, we do bad things to ourselves. So there can be a point to where you're told to tell your story and you're telling it from a shameful presentation, and it just locks you up for the rest of your life. And these are stories that some of us have from childhood, that we won't tell those stories because it was a shameful memory. Guilt, on the other hand, is when we talk about addicts who say they got to hit bottom before they can get help. And when they ask for help, it's now their guilt is their actions, and guilt will drive you into action. So as you become comfortable with telling your story, and sometimes we got to practice it on our own. We got to practice it in a safe environment. And depending upon what our story is, sometimes it makes perfect sense to have a couple of practice runs with somebody who's safe and somebody who's not tied to telling you how to change your story, but how to reveal your story. So and especially for women with vulnerability, and women were taught if they ever do anything for themselves, they're being selfish. And then all of a sudden they grow up and they're supposed to be this outgoing beauty of business, this icon and all of this stuff. And it's like, it probably ain't gonna happen. So that's a great perspective, Donald. I appreciate you hearing that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, man. Y'all have a blessed one. I just wanted to keep it simple.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother. And great to have you here in Texas. Buenos dias de Texas.
Adios.
Adios, Donald. Shay Marie, I know I'm saying that. Shay Marie Collazo? Collazo. You there? You're muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody from Puerto Rico. How are you?
Qué bueno. ¿De qué parte de Puerto Rico?
Right now I live in San Juan.
Okay. I lived in Dorado de Mar for 7 years.
That's very close.
Yes.
So I apologize. I am very nervous right now, so bear with me, guys. This is way out of my comfort zone. So what I want to ask is, how do you I have a story, I just don't know how to compact it, build it, tell it without scaring people. Because yeah, I've gone over that, but just telling people your story might be like, whoa, too scary, or you know.
So I'm sure Rhonda can help you with that, and Monique and other strong women who have really had some hell in a handbasket stories. The key to telling your story is allowing them to hear the story. Listen carefully. You've been through some challenges, wildly difficult challenges. Sometimes you tell the highlight reel, the teaser reel, the trailer reel, and then depending upon how long you have, you can tell the rest of the story. Maybe it's, if somebody had sexual abuse, Kayla Cortez, who's on our calls, and she's a business partner of mine down in Panama. She tells her stories. Listen, from the age of 4 to 14, every day I was molested by my father and my stepfather. That's a lot. That's a lot. One of the things that I learned is that life is very difficult. And if you've got a challenging situation right now, we should have a conversation about that. I will tell you what my business has done. This is Kayla talking. 18 months ago, I had dirt floors in my house, and now everything is tiled, and I have a beautiful home for my family to live in. And we had 1 bed 18 months ago, and now we have 3 beds. Now, there's a lifetime of story that goes behind all of that, but that's the highlight points that go, oh my God, she went from here to here. It's the before and after picture. Okay. So there's a before, you started to work on yourself and have a conversation and build yourself. There's a before and there's a now, which is the after. So if you can learn to tell, and you're going to have 4, 5, 6 different versions of your story. Same story, but the way you deliver it. And I'd be happy to help you. I'm sure Ron would be happy to help you, but I'd be happy to help you with that story, because you're in a culture, and I'm going to say this with love because I lived there for 7 years. That's very machismo. Yes. Yes. So when you start to tell anything that's ay pobrecita, it's a very difficult conversation. So you have to develop it because of the culture in Puerto Rico, that you don't lose any strength, but you can be as vulnerable as possible without losing any strength. Yeah. And there's a lot of tension right now in Puerto Rico with all of the things that's happening through the economy and a variety of things, and everybody feeling lost and people leaving the island, all of this stuff. Now that shouldn't have any effect on your story, but it affects how your story is heard. So if you can create the dialogue that allows it to be heard by the current economic situation that's going on in the country, in the market, it'll make a big difference. So yeah, I applaud you for having the strength to even mention it right now. Were you born in Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Okay, so being a Puerto Rican and being a strong Puerto Rican, your parents are probably very strong. Yeah, there's a lot of hidden things in Puerto Rico, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ay pobrecita. Zapatos, right? So all of these things, mango viejito, all of these little sayings that we had in Puerto Rico that go on, it'll be important for you. You would tell your story different in New York than you would in Puerto Rico. Let me just say it that way, because you got to play to your audience. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd be happy to help you with that and give you some ideas and concepts. So yeah, reach out to me on Instagram and we'll figure out how to have a conversation. I'll see what I can do to help you. And
thank you.
Rhonda will help as well.
Hey, Shay Marie, can I speak to, how are you?
Good, I love you. I just gotta say I love you. Your energy, I love it.
Thank you. I love you too. Hey, I wanted to switch something in your head real quick for you, if you don't mind.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so you used the word scary, and words are super powerful. Your story may be scary to you, but I want you to know, I think one of the reasons you use the word scary is it reveals to others. It will be revealing and it will be vulnerable, but your story will not necessarily be scary to us. It will be intense emotions.
Okay.
And you'll elicit intense emotions, and that has a different ring to it than the word scary. Because instead of you persuading yourself with all these people are going to get scared, you're just going to persuade your thoughts with, this is going to create some intense emotion. And then you allow those emotions, whatever emotions people might receive from this, you allow them to feel that. And you don't shut yourself down by using the word scary. Although whatever happened to you, I'm sure was super intense and it probably was scary to you. I need you to replace those words with intense emotions, because now what you do is you allow your brain and your heart to be able to find other words, and you get out of the loop that you've been playing in your head for who knows how long. I haven't heard your story yet. And it helps you to be able to open up to different emotions. And that will create a pattern and a path where you can find healing instead of sticking in the scary thought. Every time I say the word, I have a total different feeling that resonates across my heart and my mind to you. So I really like the thought of, we're going to have some intense emotions, but we're going to walk through them, because, girl, you and I both know as women, we can walk through intense emotions.
Yeah.
And we can hold our head up and we can stick our shoulders back. So I just wanted to change that. As soon as you kept saying that word, I was like, okay, we got to stop saying that word. I got to help her get out of that word and into another language, and that will help you. And I'm not as skilled as Sean, so I don't know what it is in Spanish, but intense emotion, however you say that in Spanish.
Emociones
Switch.
intensas.
There you go. I will slaughter that because I have an East Texas twang. So, but start saying that instead of the other. And I think it's going to help you be able to handle hearing your own story.
Thank you.
And I'm available. If you need a woman's thoughts or voice, I'm available. And if you need somebody else, Monique's on here. You know, there's so many people. And honestly, Sean's got a little more estrogen than what most men have, and he's fantastic. I hope that's okay. Yeah, I hope that's okay to say, Sean. I love you.
I think I just started laughing. Hold on. Listen, it's all about the facet and the beauty of dialogue, of conversation, right? So yeah, everybody and anybody can help you through that process. Y'all, a great call. So here's the question. Shay-Marie, Shay-Marie was asking for your IG, if you want to type your IG in the chat. Here's the question. Today, what did you sell? Today, what are you going to buy? What did you sell? What are you going to sell? What are you hoping people buy? Are they buying what you're selling? And how long will the sale last? Y'all, when Rhonda speaks, her words, what she sells in that dialogue lasts for a while. There's a pretty good book out there, been around for a couple of 1,000 years. It sells a pretty good story. A lot of people buy it. And they buy it because it brings them value. So, there you go. I do appreciate y'all. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you buy more of what you want and sell the things you don't. Sometimes you don't have to sell them. Although there are some people who want to have a real crappy story, and you can just lay those on the side of the road and they'll pick them up. Let them have their story. I appreciate y'all. Rhonda, thank you. Monique, thank you. All of the ones who shared, Brianna and Shay-Marie and Donald and Monique and all of you, just absolutely. And Leo, appreciate you. Y'all are incredible. Thanks for making the day a better day for me. I'm very self-full when I sit down and have these conversations with you because it pours into my heart. For that, I'm grateful. Diamond Dash mine is Sean G. Murphy. Sean G. Murphy. And, somebody's putting on their tap shoes. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Go have an amazing day. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits, and I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Bye for now.
I love you, Sean.
Love you, Lewis. Love you.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Love you,
Sean.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Everybody
great
have
day.
a blessed day.
Love you all.
It's good to see you, Lewis.
Good to see you too.